What's poppin', everybody? Cerebro24, and today we're gonna look at a dark deck, Espeon GX's kind of like a neglected cousin, you could say, Umbreon GX. So this Pokemon got released in the same Sun and Moon set, the base set, where Espeon GX, and it was kind of doing okay for a while, but then people realized, Espeon GX is the superior evolution of the two, and it got combined with the Garbodor when that came out in Guardians Rising, and then you have a good deck. You got your GX Pokemon doing damage, and then Garbodor being a late game hitter. So what we're going to try to do with this deck is we're going to try and replicate that. I have a fast, aggressive sort of deck where you attack for the first energy with Strafe, and then you attach a DC. You can do Shadow Bullet, and then for our secondary cheap attacker, our stage 1 dude, instead of Garbodor, we're going to go with Weavile. Now you can do Garbodor even in a deck like this. If Buzzwole can do it, running fighting and psychic energies, then you could do it in this deck. But when we don't have professors that are around and we only have things like Energy Lotto, I don't feel it's as reliable. So we're going to go with Dark. So we're going to partner up Umbreon GX with Weavile GX right here. Now looking at the base stats of the cards and just the card in general, Umbreon GX, it has the same sort of trick as all the evolutions have, and the evolutions, the rest of them that are going to come out, Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon GX, I'm looking forward to them. They can do the same trick with Energy Evolution with Eevee. Since they evolved from Eevee, they have this benefit. You attach a basic energy, and depending on the type, Eevee can evolve into that evolution. So in this case, we attach a Darkness Energy, we get out Umbreon GX out. It's got 200 HP, not bad. Would have been good if it had 210. A useful Psychic Resistance, weakness to fighting, which can be quite troublesome. It's one of the reasons why this card isn't really seeing, didn't really see much play after Guardians Rising came out with Lycanroc GX and stuff. And a 2 retreat cost, not the greatest, but I believe Espeon has the same too. And it's got 3 attacks for any situation. You got your Strafe. This isn't as useful since we're not going to hit and switch in this deck. You do 30 for 1 like Espeon, but instead of Confusion, which can't be handy, you have the option to switch. Since we don't really have any walls, I'm going to try and hit and switch in this deck. This isn't as useful. Shadow Blood, though, is probably a more reliable attack. Whereas Espeon GX does more damage with the energies your opponent's Pokemon has. This is always going to do 90 for 3 and then 30 snipe to the bench. So it's like Darkrai EX's from Dark Explorer's attack. The only difference is this is DC compatible, so we can just attach a Darkness Energy, then slap a DC, and this guy's ready to go. If you play first, you're really putting up a lot of pressure, offensive pressure with this Pokemon. And then Dark Call GX, even though it's probably not as, it doesn't have all the useful implications of sniping and getting knockouts on the bench as Espeon GX, it works with 2 energies. So maybe when you don't get the DC and your opponent has a few energies around, you can just, you do Strafe. Next turn you can do the Dark Call GX attack, and then you do Shadow Bullet. It's nice to have another attack that works with 2 energy as opposed to just having 2 attacks with 3 energy like Espeon GX. So Dark Call GX, you discard 2 energy from your opponent's Pokemon. Anywhere you can choose on the bench too. So it's really nice, really flexible, and can come in handy many times. So this is Umbreon GX. We're going to try and make a fast dark deck with this dude, apply pressure, and we have a bunch of other tools that boost damage. So this is the main attacker. I decided to show you guys. Make this deck, try and make it work, have some fun with it. It's pretty nice. So for Eevee, of course, we want to start with this Pokemon. Attach a Darkness Energy. You want to get this guy active. Have him like turn 1, turn 2, start attacking immediately as soon as you can. So there's not a lot of worthless Pokemon like filler Pokemon in here. You got the 4 Eevee, opening with this guy, or 4 Sneasel for our Weavile. If we get to play second, Sneaky Smash is good. Discard an energy for free on your opponent anywhere. So it goes kind of with Umbreon GX's attack too. You may have a chance to do this. And then eventually you get Weavile, excellent Pokemon. Free Retreat. HP isn't the greatest, but it's got 2 solid attacks. Rule of Evil doing 60 to all Pokemon with abilities. It can really add up. And Slash, sometimes this attack can come up too, doing a solid 70 for 2. And as you guys can see, I have a big line of these guys. Not a lot of... There's no Layla GX, no draw support Pokemon like Uranguru. I'm not running Pokemon with abilities. Mine is the Eevee, which is supposed to become Umbreon GX pretty quickly. So you're not going to have a bunch of Eevees around and then start doing Rule of Evil. So that's basically the idea. Offensive Pokemon everywhere. For these, 4 Eevees, you got your 3 Umbreons and 3 Weaviles. If I had the one in, I think, Ultra Prism that does more damage to the active, maybe I would have ran one of that guy too, but the Weavile that attacks does damage to everybody with abilities. If you play up against decks with a lot of abilities, like, let's say, Rayquaza GX or other decks like Zoroark GX, it really can put on the hurt, put on a lot of damage, of course. Kind of busted. And then the last Pokemon is pretty simplistic, like I've said, just offensive Pokemon, Deoxys. This guy is in here, like I've mentioned, with the Slaking deck. It's basically a tech. The Pokemon that you really want to hurt, Buzzwole and Garbodor, unfortunately, they run 1 energy, so he's not going to be that good against them. I suppose maybe if there's a Buzzwole GX with 3 energies on, then I guess you can get a knockout on that guy, perhaps, with a Choice Band. I don't even think you can get the knockout on that dude. I mean, if it has 3, you're doing 80. So, yeah, 160. You're not even taking care of that guy. But, I don't know. There really isn't a much better Pokemon I can think of to run as a tech. This guy works at DC. And maybe hitting for the weakness is good. Basic Pokemon. If you want to take this out and put something else you think is better, like maybe the Oricorio, the Psychic one that does a lot of damage for your opponent's Pokemon at discard pile, maybe that's good too. Maybe you can try something else. Normally it almost never comes up, but I decided, hey, let's just add it just in case. So the Pokemon are pretty simple. Like I've said, you just want to, ideally you want to play first, start with Eevee, and then get the drop on your opponent. If you don't, if you play second, then that's where Sneasel comes in. You're able to discard a free energy for your opponent. So you either force them to lose an energy even though they attach it, or just not attach it at all because they know they're going to lose it. So it's a nice little turn 1 or 2 combo you can do depending on what you do, depending on if you play first or not. Alright, and just offensive dark Pokemon. I'm actually going to go straight to the add-ons now. We do solid damage with these Pokemon, but with Choice Bands, got 2 of these. We're going to boost the damage even further for GX Pokemon. And 1 Poison Barb. I have this as opposed to running 3 Choice Bands because there's a lot of anti-meta Pokemon like the Buzzwole, Garbodor, a lot of spread decks like Weavile and Tapu Koko, and just other Pokemon. And since we don't have something like Muscle Band, Poison Barb is the next best thing, I guess, where it poisons the opponent and the damage is going to add from there. So this can be good. And the other damage adder is going to be Devour Field. Having this down, Choice Band, and attacking with a Pokemon like Umbreon GX, we're doing really high damage. We're going to be doing 130 base and then 30 more to a bench Pokemon. So that's 160 total. So it's not bad. And that's basically it for the offensive tools. Doing kind of different things here, but I wanted to talk about the damage adders because I want to emphasize this deck. If it's gonna work, you gotta attach your darkness energy, get your DC, start applying pressure with Umbreon GX using Shadow Bullet, and depending on what your opponent is playing, you do the opposite with Weavile. This is what you do. Always doing as much damage as possible. Okay, so standard stuff. I gotta have my 2 energy lottos. This is like Professor's Letter, are much weaker at that, but in this deck is not so bad because we have the chance to get DC. You gotta run 4 DC in this deck for Umbreon GX. It's good because even a Weavile can use it. I was really trying to find maybe another Pokemon that make the deck as close to as an Espeon GX, Garbodor GX deck, but there really isn't any better Pokemon, I think, on Weavile. I thought about Honchkrow, but it's just not so good. Something like Weavile is better. Anyways, back on topic. I have my standard text Field Blower, pretty important card. And you got the 3 Nest Balls since we can't utilize a card like Brooklyn Heal in this deck. And for my balls, you know, there's no Ultra Ball because I don't run Tapu Lele. I don't want to discard. Every card in here is a valuable asset. It's pretty simplistic. So instead we're running a Timer Ball. With this, I have the chance to get 2 Pokemon too, and normally, even if the odds are you're gonna get 1 head, so you're gonna get 1 Pokemon. And I'm not too worried about searching evolution pieces because Eevee is supposed to be self-sufficient. You're supposed to get Umbreon GX with your own effect, with Eevee's effect. So Umbreon GX gets itself out on its own, and maybe if we get lucky with Timer Ball, we can get Weavile. So it's not really, I don't feel as pressured to run something that lets me get evolution pieces instantly. So in this case, it's okay to run Ultra Ball, Timer Ball, I mean. Normally, I don't really run chance cards. Alright, and I got my other standard tech, Rescue Stretcher, and let's see what else. My 2 switches, since unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, Weavile has free retreat, so it's good. Deoxys isn't so bad. So basically, the only Pokemon that doesn't have a very good retreat cost at 2 is Umbreon GX. So just having 2 switch, flexible, nice, it's pretty good. I don't need to run a skateboard. And I think I covered all the trainers. We already talked about the offensive tools and the stadiums. You run the Devoured Field as your counter stadium, and to add more damage, the choice bands, the Poison Barb, offensive tools. So all that's left is basically talk about the supporters, which are pretty standard as well. You should know the skeleton by now for most of my decks. The Force Cynthia is mandatory, best supporter, general supporter we have. The Copycat is pretty good, you never know when it might come in handy. Then we got our Lily, 2 of these. If you get the effect turn 1, it's pretty good, draw a bunch of cards. Very solid draw support too, draw until you have a kind of supporter. And got the 1 Tate and Liza, useful switching utility, and shuffle and draw 5, not bad. And Volkner, our Skylar dude, one of these is okay in a deck like this. We're not running stage 2 Pokemon. And then this is one of the decks where I'm trying the Looker engine again. Just 2 Looker and 1 Looker's Whistle. That's right, yeah, the last trainer card we gotta talk about. This is basically, I have the chance to transform this into supporters. This deck really doesn't need a lot of resources to work. It's not a stage 2 deck. It's not a deck where we need a lot of energies, let's say, to attach, and then we discard and we need energy retrievals. And it's basically, get your guys out, get your Darkness Energy, evolve into Umbreon, just have energy to attach every turn because there's no sort of energy acceleration. So the best thing you can do is just not miss a turn of attaching energies and just put the hurt on your opponent. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And that's why Looker, I don't feel it's bad to maybe run 2 of this guy and 1 Whistle, and we can just draw 3. You don't really dig for too many things in this deck. Maybe the DCs are important. And speaking of which, last thing to talk about, energies, just 13 energies, 4 DC and 9 darkness. I'm going with 13 as opposed to 12, like I usually sort of go with in my decks, because I really just want to have the darkness energies around, have them, so that we can attach them and get Umbreon GX quickly. I don't want to not see them. Since we're running DCs, it means that you're not running as many darkness energies, so maybe you won't see it. So 9 as opposed to 8 is okay, and then the 4 DC is very important for Umbreon GX to get the Shadow Bullet going quickly. If you manage to get the DC, let's say you play first, attach Darkness, Umbreon GX is out, and then you attach DC, you start doing Shadow Bullet, turn 2 literally, before your opponent had his own second turn. You're really applying a lot of pressure here. So it's pretty good. That's how Umbreon GX can be successful. Catch people off guard and do high damage. If you can't really do that successfully, then yeah, this deck is like an inferior Espeon GX Garbodor. But we're gonna have some fun with it. Try it out. enjoyed it. It's probably not going to be very relevant after Lost Thunder comes out. I've been actually toying with this deck for a while, but I wanted to make sure I uploaded my other videos and showed the necessary stuff first and make this deck as good as I could before showing to you guys. But I've been actually been playing around with this deck before I even made Slacking. So yeah. Alright. And oh, I almost forgot Acrobike. Yeah. Running two of these, just a good uh, just draw a card from the top of your deck. And since this deck, like I've said, it's not like we're really valuing a lot of these resources. Uh, Maybe just to help me dig DC, it doesn't really matter if we discard something. So 2 Acrobike is not bad, is okay. And that's basically the deck. Pretty straightforward. And okay, another card I forgot to talk about. Yeah, I'm kind of doing this, not doing this as I usually make my deck profiles. Uh, but anyways, Guzma, the last card. I am running one of these in this deck. It's really nice to pull something, of course, and get a KO. Something, let's say, that's really hurt on the bench, or actually you have a active Pokemon that's really hurt, and then you put it on the bench and finish it off with a snipe. Help you get 2-hit knockouts like that. All the interactions when you can do spread too. So Guzma is pretty good. And on that note, I think this is a wrap. Yeah, I feel like I did the deck profile kind of weird today, but that's what happens when you do something when you're not completely in the mood. I didn't plan for this. I wanted to record this in the morning, but it's now kind of later in the day where I'm doing this, but you know, shit happens. Anyways, this is going to be the Umbreon GX deck, Umbreon with Weavile. It's pretty cool. Uh, it might actually even have a chance. Like, I would say you can take this deck to like a regional, and if your matchups are kind of lucky, like if you go up against decks that, well, they're not like a Rock GX Flight Index maybe with Buzzholes, then I think you can do pretty good. It's consistent, it's strong, it's simplistic. I feel like it's not so bad. Maybe Espeon GX with Garbodor GX is better in many ways, but this deck has advantages over that deck too. Uh, got the Psychic Resistance against the Psychic Pokemon, as I mentioned in that, and being able to discard energies too, and just putting consistent high damage that you can boost with your add-ons like the Devoured Field. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys subscribe, leave a like, share this with your friends. Oh my god, I actually forgot Apricot Maker too. And yeah, Apricot Maker uh, for the 3 nest balls and the timer balls. It's a card that maybe you want to play this turn 1 as opposed to Lele. It depends. Lily, I mean. But yeah, I've been all over the place, but I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys subscribe, leave a like, share this with your friends. Cerebro24, I'm going to be showing some games, of course, with this deck too. What up?